everything. You guys work that out. Okay.
Yeah, we work that with all them and just tell them, just give them ideas to think about how quickly can you get, who do you need,
Right.
who can work from home, who can't, who's got to be, and where you go. And we encourage them to reach out. I can give them some ideas. Like mine is the Carroll County EMS, the Carroll County Emergency Operations Center, and I'm there. So if their EOC is destroyed, they'll come work out of here. And if mine's destroyed, I can go and work with them. So you look at that, some of the courts can't do that because they're, constitutionally they got to be with the county, so they got to
county, right, jurisdiction.
They got to be more creative and stuff like that and come up because they have to do some of their stuff within the jurisdiction.
Yeah. Okay. This is good to know. Thank you. I appreciate it. I yield, Commissioner Alcaraz.
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, I was able to sit in and participate and do some of that from my previous role, and I tell you, it's very interesting. It might be something that you may want to go down there and sit and let them show you. It's very interesting to see how all those plans come together in the unfortunate event if we was to have a mass casualty here in our county. Yeah, it would be, it's interesting to see. But is there anything else for EMA Director Bill Holland? If not, I'm going to change the order a little bit. I'm going to go to Renee Godwin. Okay. All right, then I'm going to move on from to Douglas County Code Enforcement Chief Russell Tilzone.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good evening or afternoon.
I don't have any specific updates to bring the committee up to speed on. I'm here if anyone has any questions for our department that I can answer. I'm glad to do that. We're just moving right along, business as usual and normal. Nothing special or out of the lane to report.
Could we touch off, Russell, if you don't mind, on we were talking about last time the code enforcement was going throughout the county. I know some of the citizens heard about it. You and I have talked about it, and some of the citizens, have reached out, to our departments about it. But if you could just maybe read what you're meaning by in regards to sweeps that our code enforcement office is doing or has been doing since March and April.
Yes, sir. Yes. So we're still conducting the sweeps, and just to basically what we're doing is we're so to back up a little bit, planning and zoning for the last, I'm not sure how many months, has actually been going through through a lot of the subdivisions throughout the county for some project they've got going on, and they've actually they have a list of these subdivisions that they've gone through, and I'm not sure what their evaluation criteria are, but they've just supplied us with a list of the subdivisions throughout the county. We're actually using that. There's no other criteria that we're using other than, okay, this is a subdivision in this particular area, and so on and so on. And we're actually just going through and doing a systematic house to house through subdivisions right now. We're going to be shifting gears from the subdivisions to some of the more major just roads and streets throughout the county, probably in the next 60 to 90 days. But all we're doing is going through and we're looking at some of the more major violations that we typically cite just with complaints over the last decade, litter violations, zoning violations, some building violations that we just may not be getting calls about, but that are affecting the aesthetics of the neighborhood and are just in violation of these ordinances without us knowing about it. So going through property by property or house to house with or without complaints, and we're just being proactive in addressing these and helping to hopefully clean up some of these subdivisions. We're certainly not doing it to put any burdens on the citizens, but there are a lot of the subdivisions in the county where there are people who are upset about some of the things that are going on there. They're just not willing to come forward and make the complaints for fear of retaliation from their next door neighbor or across the street neighbor. So this proactive activity that we're having in these subdivisions, hopefully will take some of those citizens that want to complain but aren't. Hopefully it'll take some of the fear out of them without even having to make the complaint. We're doing it on their behalf, I guess, for lack of a better term. It has gotten some pushback, as we would all expect, but you know, after the initial negative feedback we've received the first couple, 3-4 weeks of it, we're still getting those, you know, negative phone calls, but I think it's come to light that overall what we've done through the subdivision in a positive way is, I think, is kind of outweighing some of the negative reactions we're getting, and that's just what we've seen in the last 4 or 5, 6 weeks of doing this.
I really appreciate you reiterating that for us and for our community. Madam Vice Chair, have any questions?
I don't have any questions for Officer Tizone. Point of order, can I piggyback Commissioner Alcaraz to Director Milholland real quick?
Yes, Madam Vice Chair, you can have the floor to go back and speak with EMA Director Milholland.
Thank you. Just while it's on my mind, Director Milholland, is our communications director a part of your strategy session, or have you met the new communications director, and are they incorporated into that item if something was to happen in the county in terms of, you know, disaster recovery?
Yes, the communications department has always been very integrated into the emergency operations plan.
Okay.
We usually have people from communications departments in the emergency operations center to help with that, and we talk when normally we're dealing with multiple, what we call them PIOs, different departments, different jurisdictions within the county and around. And we try to get them together and get them, everybody, have a joint information. So I want the city PIO, the school system PIO. I want them all together to give them one message. I don't need.
Thank you.
That's always, and that we work real hard on trying to make sure they always work together and everybody gets their information in and they send out one message. Actually, it's a federal requirement. Not everybody does it, but it's we want one message.
Yes, we do. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
I yield the floor, Commissioner Alcaraz.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, and I appreciate you asking that. So if there's nothing else for Code Enforcement Chief Russell Tizone, we're going to move on to Animal Control Director Vanessa Frankowski.
Oops. Good afternoon. Sorry about that. My camera has a mind of its own. Hope everybody's having a good afternoon. I wanted to go over our month-to-date service calls. Currently, we're at 608 calls for this month. We've had 41 dog bite cases already. Dog-on-dog attacks are at 14. Aggressive leash laws are at 41. Welfares are at 57, and other calls are at 455. This is quite an increase for us, especially with school getting out and summer hitting. We expect these calls to probably double within the next few weeks. We are currently still working on the trapping of coyotes at the Woody Fight Senior Center. As of this point, they've already trapped 4 with a few more that are kind of hanging loose. Between the homeless camp that's over there and the Master Gardener Center, the coyotes are getting well fed. So they're continuing to hang out in that area, but due to the cause for attacks on both citizens and animals in that area, with 1 positive rabies case already in the county, we don't want to take our chances. We've had 1 positive rabies raccoon in Lithia Springs. It was a dog on raccoon attack. The dog in question has been vaccinated and has also been placed under quarantine with no signs of positive rabies at this point. As far as position control, we have 1 part-time position for animal control officers. We are full on kennel technicians and other positions within the building. We are currently researching the cost estimate to get our officers body cameras. We are finding more and more issues with community compliance and the he said, she said, also with the verbal threats on officers. So we are currently researching the best cameras that we can go ahead and use with the county for our officers. We also do have a mental health and wellness counseling session coming up within the next month. I've already done 2 of these for our employees, both officers and shelter staff. This field particularly is high with compassion fatigue We are the second largest suicide, organization for animal welfare. So at this point, animal welfare employees, they're twice the risk of suicide. So we are at this point are trying to, offset that by making sure that the staff has mental health counseling sessions, health and wellness sessions to go ahead and make sure that they're taking some personal time to better themselves, whether it's a walk in the park, taking dogs to the park, and just offering counseling resources through the EAP for all of our employees. Other than that, we're maintaining. We have a few trucks that are still, going through maintenance, getting them repaired from accidents, but otherwise we're doing great.
Okay. Well, you touched on a few things there that's going to bring a little bit of conversation. When we were speaking about the coyotes over to Woody Flight, and we're also talking about our the homeless camp that's over there. Have we discussed with them? And I mean, I know that there's, they're limited over there, but have we discussed with them about, trying to do, or do we have resources for them over there in regards to garbage cans and stuff like that, where they can just any food or anything that they got left over that would attract the coyotes? Because obviously my concern now is for them and their welfare being out there, in the middle of the night, and especially if we got a coyote who's got rabies. Have we went discussed with them? Do they have the proper resources they need out there to try to keep that away?
We have gone out there several times prior to this to try to work with the homeless in that area. We usually do have to require the assistance of the sheriff's department. It is not well received in that area. We have tried to offer vaccines for the animals just to offset the chance of them having rabies. But again, it's not very well received. So we do have to have the assistance of the sheriff's department out there.
Okay, this may be, I'm going to probably drag Russell Tillzone into this. Russell, do you know if we have things out there for them in regards to code enforcement where they can place their trash and everything for them as they live in that area?
So officially, sir, we don't we don't have any we don't have anything to do with that area down there. We go down there from time to time. I just do some casual drive-bys, nothing specific or regulated. But the last couple times I have been there are trash cans. The best of my remembering and knowledge, there are trash cans down there, as well as porta potties. Obviously, there's tents and some other facilities down there. So I think the resources, the last I remember about 3 weeks ago, there are resources there for them to, put their garbage in rather than just throwing it on the ground, attracting any kind of, wildlife and animals. But since I'm not, 100% sure of everything down there, I can absolutely make it a pointed effort. I can go down there tomorrow and get a very complete overview rather than what I'm giving right now. I have no problem with that. I can do that first thing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we would please just look to make sure that those are in place for them, those resources for them. I would appreciate it because, coyotes are, they're very unpredictable. And I would just hate for someone there to get attacked by, and especially, God forbid, one of them have rabies and attack one of those there in the middle of the night because of things that are being left out. But all right, so I appreciate that, Chief Tillzone. Ms. Fredkowski, body cameras. You mentioned that. So I'm assuming that, and I know this to be true because I've received a couple of emails here lately, and you and I have talked about a couple of cases that has been brought to my attention where, I'm a full, I agree with your department. You've done the right thing because the dogs were not being contained all the time. And this person was kind of very verbal with me. So I would like to make sure, is that a resource? is that something, or I may ask the sheriff's department, do we have extra body cameras around that your employees could use, that the employees from the animal control could use, or is that something we're going to need to look at purchasing?
So for my department, we don't currently have any. We can definitely talk with the sheriff's department to see if we can piggyback somehow with them. I do have it within my budget that I can go ahead and purchase them, but again, it will be a pretty hefty cost to get that started. But we are looking at resources to try to go ahead and navigate that.
Okay. And I know our sheriff's office, I know because you've came to us about body cameras. I'm sure you have a distributor which you're using that, maybe you could piggyback off of with the body cameras that you're purchasing for your department. That might, how many would you think you would need? May I ask?
I would need at least 8.
8.
Yes.
Lieutenant Colonel Pounds, have you guys ordered those body cameras yet?
We have ordered some. I think we are in the process of getting those, but there's some things at this time that are holding us back. I think they have to order some more parts for it, so I'm not sure exactly when those will be in, but at this moment, we don't have any to spare unless the chief says we do. I don't think we have any to spare at this moment.
Yeah, rethinking that, I remember you guys coming to us and asking for additional cameras. I would inquire maybe Ms. Frankowski, if you would bring this, maybe we put a motion to bring this before the board to ask to purchase those additional cameras. Then maybe you can work with the sheriff's office to get that discount in regards to the bulk. I see Deputy Chief Connor on here. Would that be possible, Deputy Chief, to help piggyback off that purchase order to help save some money on that bulk order?
We can look and see where we're at with them. The issue that we'll probably run into is they'll probably need their standalone system. I don't know, in order for them to have an administrative privilege to the system, it would give them access to our system because it's all being stored in the cloud, and due to the sensitive nature of some of the law enforcement activities that we go to and victims of sexual assaults and that sort of thing.
Okay.
It would open a can of worms. Now, we've done a lot of research. If you remember, we had went with the Motorola body cameras that were incorporated into the radio system. Well, Motorola got bought out, and now they're back to the system we left. And we had a refresh, which we're in the middle of doing in the contract. However, we're getting the cameras back that we just got rid of the company that we weren't happy with. So I think that we're going to get our way through what we've got now, and then look probably, or we will be looking at another system eventually within probably 2 years. And Axon, or that they make Taser, is pretty evolved in that industry with the body cameras and integrating it with the car camera and microphone and everything within it. So I think short term, I don't really know an answer for them. Long term, I think, when we get into into that contract and looking at cloud service, there could be an opportunity to have like kind of, let's say, 2 separate systems that could be accessed. There may be a possibility now. I would just have to get with IT and see if there's a way that that we could have like a certain area that would be for them, and then a certain area that stored for us. But we could definitely check into that.
Okay. Yeah. If we could, maybe I'll get together and look into that to see what we need to do to see before she goes off and has to purchase her own cameras and her own iCloud storage on her own. Maybe it's something we can do to maybe save a few dollars there. But yeah, we'll bring that back up to another conversation, and I'll get with you, Ms. Frankowski and Deputy Chief Connor and Lieutenant Colonel Pounds, and we'll see what we can't do or see which direction we need to go. Is there any questions you got, Madam Vice Chair?
Just a couple. To piggyback off of the camera issue, I would just say let's get with Alex and see if we, can utilize procurement for animal services. just because I'm really not for sharing those services with the sheriff, just because that is sensitive and that could be HIPAA violation. So if I was just because I am IT, I would just tell you, it's just my opinion, that the animal services should have their own equipment and their own storage. Then that way, Ms. Director Frankowski can direct whoever she wants to be able to look at those systems, download those. Now, of course, you could always give access to one of the sheriff's deputies, for continuity. But I would say that they do need to have their own separate contracts and body cameras. So we could possibly use state procurement for those eight body cameras. So I would say first get with IT, Alex, and then get with Latanya Ammons and go that route. Because we may have a little money in under ARPA for those 8 cameras, so it doesn't have to come out your budget, and that way we could just figure out storage space in the cloud. Second thing is for my unsheltered friends right there by Woody Fight. Ms. Myers is usually over that. I don't know, Director Frankowski, if you've ever talked to Ms. Myers, but she's over the Bread of Life Ministries that really does help the unsheltered in that area. So that's someone who can get with. I know you said it was met with apprehension. They only trust a few people, right? And they're real particular about that, and you can understand why, right? So I would say she would be your best advocate into possibly helping them to understand why you are speaking about getting vaccinated, right? So yeah, I will get with you and give you her information, and let's see if we can go that route to kind of curb some of that. And she's also good with ensuring that they follow the rules over there in regards to trash, so that we won't have these types of incidences to occur.
And that would be great,
Okay.
Because like I said, we do free vaccines. And if they need dog food, we'd be more than willing to assist.
Right. Exactly.
We would need to open that door.
Exactly. And she would be the one to do that for you. So, but other than that, Commissioner Alvarez, are you?
Okay, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. And the last thing I want to inquire about is just, you were talking about the suicide rate in regards to those who work in animal control. And of course, I know you can't explain this in too much detail, but just as our employees, is our employees doing, is there anything that we need to maybe discuss another time, or is everyone doing okay?
Everybody's doing okay. Generally speaking, it's hard right now. We're seeing more and more incidences of people abandoning their animals. We just had one tied to our gas line a few days ago. We're just seeing overall huge increase in just neglect, and it's not small neglect. It's dogs coming in looking like skeletons that have just blatantly been abused and things like that. It is hard. We are limited on resources. We cannot save them all, although we do try. We just can't save them all. So dealing with just overall the public not really wanting to go ahead and I'm not saying this is not the general public, this is certain members of the community that just don't value the lives of the animals. And our mission here is to, be that human animal bond and try to fix them. So it's a strain mentally, but we are in good spirits. We do try to see the greatness in people. We are getting a lot of donations. We're getting a lot of volunteers, so that helps. And then just on the side, we'll do lunch and learns, health and wellness. We went to the health and wellness massage thing the other day at Deer Lake, and that gives the employees an opportunity to get out of the building and just breathe in nature. And so it's been helping.
Okay, good. Any other questions for Director Frankowski? All right, if there be no other questions, go back and just see if Madam Corner has came on. I know I spoke with her earlier and she got an invite, and just want to see if she's on. Okay, I do not see her on. So at this, I'm going to ask for, some of you received an email yesterday. I'm going to ask for a vote to go to an executive session to speak about some legal matters and so may I get a motion to go into executive session?
So, Commissioner Alvarez, I make a motion that we go into executive session for legal matters.
Okay. And may I get a second, please?
Second.
Okay. I got a motion and a second, and we're going to, after executive session, so at this time, I'm going to